Hello again and welcome back to our course on Project 2019. In this section, we're going to take a look at Gantt chart formatting. Now, this is a topic on which we could spend an awful lot of time, and I don't propose to spend that much time on it, but I do intend to introduce you to some of the basic principles of formatting, and then if you need to format your Gantt charts extensively, I'll leave you to experiment with the many tools that are available in Project 2019. Now, when it comes to formatting, you really have two major options. There is a high-level tool called the Gantt Chart Wizard, which can do an awful lot of heavy formatting for you and come up with some pretty smart standard styles for Gantt charts. And then there is what you might call the manual approach to formatting a Gantt chart. We've done a little bit of the manual approach already. I've demonstrated things like changing the font in a column. But the range of tools for manually formatting a Gantt chart is actually quite impressive. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of manual formatting, and then, as I say, I'm going to leave the rest to you. Now, before we get started here, it is an important point. If you're going to work on formatting a Gantt chart, and you're just doing a small temporary change, and you know what you're doing, you may want to leave things as they are, or maybe just do an undo to go back to where you were. However, if you're planning on doing something that may be a major change, it's a very good idea not to work on the particular view, in this case the Gantt chart view, but to make a copy of it so that you can always go back to the original. Now, I ought to qualify that just a little bit by the fact that if you look on the View tab in the Task Views group on the left where the Gantt chart button is, if you click the drop down, one of the bottom options there is Reset to Default. Now, you might think, well, that will do the job for me. If it all goes wrong, I can just come in here and reset everything back to the default. And to some extent, that is true. The problem is that the default really is the default when you first got Project out of the box, if you like. So if you've done some formatting some time ago, you've been working on your formatted version for some time, and then you do a second batch of changes and you want to go back to where you were after the first batch, Reset to Default won't do that. It will take you right back to the beginning. So it's like you're starting from scratch. So if I'm going to work on Gantt chart view, and I want to make some changes to it, I would normally make a copy of it and then work on the copy. Now, I'll come back to that in a few minutes' time. Let's first concentrate on the Gantt Chart Wizard. What you're about to see is that the Gantt Chart Wizard is very easy to use, but you'll also see that it's not quite so easy to find. It's not actually on the ribbon by default. And for some reason, which is still unknown to me, Microsoft make it one of the items that's not shown on the ribbon. So in order to use it, the first thing you want to do really is either put it on the ribbon or put it onto the Quick Access Toolbar. So I'm going to add it onto my Quick Access Toolbar. So let's go to the drop down and we're going to jump down to More Commands. And we're going to go to the categories. So in the category, Commands Not in the Ribbon, that sounds like where we're going to find it. And if we scroll down, again, these are in alphabetical order, we should find one called Gantt Chart Wizard, which we do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the Gantt Chart Wizard to my Quick Access Toolbar just by clicking the Add button. And click on OK. And if you look now up on the Quick Access Toolbar, you'll see I have my new Gantt Chart Wizard icon on the Quick Access Toolbar, making it really quick and easy to use. So let's give it a go. Let's fire up the Gantt Chart Wizard. And what this will do is it will take you through a short series of screens in which you make some fairly straightforward choices. It's quite a high-level tool, the Gantt Chart Wizard, but if you want to do something quickly that will give you pretty smart results, it is a good option. So let's click on Next. And the next screen is what kind of information do you want to display in your Gantt chart? Do we want standard information? Do we want to show the critical path? Do we want to show the baseline? Or do we want to show something else? Or do we want to show a custom Gantt chart? Now, I'll let you experiment yourself with some of these options. We're going to go for standard and then click on Next. Next, we're being asked, what task information do you want to display with your Gantt bars? The information that it's referring to here is in the words that are on the right-hand side of each bar. And until now, we've not really looked at why those particular words are there, and in fact, how you can control which words are shown. But for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to say that I don't want any words to appear. So I'm going to select none and click on Next. The next screen, do you want to show link lines between dependent tasks? Now note that when you are doing this, you're getting a preview of how things are going to look in this box on the left. So in this step, you can already see that the words have been removed, but the little lines are still there to show dependencies. So if I select No, you'll see that those lines disappear. So I'm going to leave dependency lines shown and click on Next. And that's it really. So all I'm left to do with now is click on Format It. And it chugs away for a moment or two, and then you can just click Exit Wizard. And there is my Gantt chart formatted according to the choices that I've made. So that's a very, very straightforward way of formatting a Gantt chart reasonably quickly. Let's now look at some manual aspects of formatting. Just before I do, let's undo what we've just done. So I'm just going to click the Undo button on the Quick Access toolbar. And we're back to where we were. What I'm going to do first here is to make a copy of the current Gantt chart view. So if I click on Other Views, go down to More Views, and with Gantt chart selected, I'm going to click Copy. And it will make a copy of the Gantt chart. So I'm going to give my new view a name, and I'm going to call it DA Gantt chart. And the fact that I've put my initials on the start there makes it very easy to identify that that's one of mine. And I'm going to click on OK. And you'll see now in More Views, I have my DA Gantt chart listed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply it. So let's click Apply. So that's made a copy, and I can revert back to my original Gantt chart whenever I want to. So let's start out with doing a little bit of formatting of the table. And note that what I'm currently working on is the entry table. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to move this out the way a little bit, is I'm going to select all of the columns from task name to predecessor, and I'm going to best fit all of those columns. So right click, down to field settings, and select best fit. And the widths of those columns are now adjusted accordingly. I'm then going to go in and I'm going to hide the predecessors column. And I'm also going to hide the work column. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to center align everything in the finish column. So back into field settings, and I'm going to say align data to the center. And something else that we can do, let's suppose that I chose all of the text under the attire summary task. So we're going to select all of those. I'm going to right click to bring up the mini toolbar, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to change the font to something else. So let's just select this one here. Not the nicest font in the world, but that doesn't matter too much. And you can see that that's only applied to the task that I've selected. Now, what if I wanted to do a project-wide change of the font? So let me undo that very quickly. What I can do is go up to the Format tab and then go to the Text Styles option just here. It's the first one in the Format group, and I could select the same font. Now, I'm probably not going to get the same font, so I'm just going to choose a different one just here. And I could choose a font style, I could choose a size if I wanted to. So let's go to town, let's choose font size 14, and I'm going to click OK. And that will change absolutely everything on the project plan. And this looks pretty terrible, but hopefully you get the idea. So I'm going to very quickly undo that as well. Now let's take a look at a couple of other options for when it comes to formatting the chart itself. First of all, there is a Gantt Chart Styles gallery, and it's this big gallery just here. Now there are quite a few styles. We've got some scheduling styles and we've got some presentation styles, and you might want to experiment with some of those to see which ones you like the most. And in general terms, one of the key things here, as we just saw with the table on the left, is that you can either choose to style a particular bar, or to change the style of all bars of a particular type. So in the bar styles group over here, there is a format button. And you can see that we have two options, format bar or format bar styles. Now format bar will format the specific bar that you've selected, whereas bar styles will format all of them. So let's take a look at bar styles. And you'll see that this brings up a rather complex looking bar styles dialog box. And we can pretty much format every single aspect of a bar style. You can get really, really technical here. Now, first of all, we have different types of objects. So we have straightforward task objects, we have splits, we have milestones, summary tasks, project summary task, etc. Now, with each of these, we can choose its appearance and we can view, or in some cases, change various aspects of how the bar appears. So let's take our standard task, which is what most of these bars represent. And you can see the color there. It's a kind of blue. So if I wanted to change the appearance, I've got a number of ways that I could change it. So for instance, at the moment, there is no start symbol. So if I click on shape, I can choose the start symbol from this list of shapes if I want to. So I'm going to choose this one just here. And then what about if I wanted the same shape at the end? Well, I go to the group that says end and I can select a different shape if I wanted to, but I'm going to keep it consistent and select the same shape and click on OK. And you'll now see that I have those shapes added to the start and end of those task bars. Let's go back into bar styles again. So we've seen what you can do with the start and the end, but what about this middle section just here? Shape, pattern and color. Supposing I wanted to make the pattern different. So supposing I wanted to make it stripy. So let's see how that looks and click on OK. And there we go, we get a completely different look to our taskbar. So many options in there which will allow you to customize what you're seeing, so you can really set it up in whatever way that suits you. And finally, as an example of that, what about the text that appears on the right? I've talked about that earlier on in the section when we're talking about the Gantt Chart Wizard. So let's see how we can adjust the text. I'm going to go back into Format and down into Bar Styles. And you can see here at the bottom, we actually have two tabs and we have been working on bars. I'm going to click on Text. And currently it says on the left of the bar, there's no text. On the right, there are the resource names. On the top, nothing. On the bottom, nothing. And inside, nothing. So supposing that instead of resource names, I'm going to show, what about cost? We can just select it from the drop down. And again, we're in alphabetical order. So we're going to scroll to cost and click on OK. Now we can see our Gantt chart has updated and we're now seeing the cost next to our bars. So you can probably see from all of those examples just how flexible the formatting of Gantt charts can be. You've got the style, you've got the ability to change the color, the shapes, the ends, the text on all of the charts, and you can also do things like change the way that summary tasks are shown. So I'm going to leave you to have a little play around with that. That's the end of this section. I will see you in the next one.